Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report. It's August 25th, 2016. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss, and this is the daily time frame of the ES. One thing we talked about yesterday was the fact that 2185 was the pivot to watch. Failure to hold that level would likely spark a move back across the previous price distribution into 73 to 74, and you saw that move materialize by the end of the day. We see a very clear trading range that has developed up here from 2190 to 2165. We're now back toward the bottom end of this range. So I would anticipate that this pullback here leads to a rejection point that could spark the next snapback back toward recent highs, 2185 to 2190. So right now we are on a downswing here, but I do believe that once we get into 65s, perhaps a little lower, maybe even as low as 85, or rather 58 halves, this could be a zone down here where if there's a rejection, it could be an easy call to bring it back against the range. Remember, we're still in an uptrending market. Pullbacks have still been defended and bought, and right now you got to continue with that approach until proven otherwise. Dropping down into the intraday time frame, one thing that was very apparent, obviously, was that 2185 key level. As you recall, 2185 was the major level back here. After this trading range had developed, and I said any push through there could be a great squeeze attempt. You got to hold it, but during this day we knew that the thing was fizzling. There was no volume, no oomph, and so I mentioned that if there's a failure to hold 2185, you auction back across the range into 73.74, and you can see that play out. Now prices are holding down in this zone, and again, once we find support in this area or rejection, it could be an opportunity to bring it back up against the range. All right, let's take a look now at crude oil. Here's crude oil. Let's look at a daily time frame here. For the most part, crude oil has been pulling back, but remains quite strong after the recent squeeze. Right, we got a squeeze from 39 up to 49. That's a 10-handle squeeze in 3 weeks. Big time move. The first 2-day pullback was a huge buying opportunity, and now this current pullback could still be a great buying opportunity. We obviously visualized here how this could play out from Friday's market over here. I mentioned if this one holds as a digestion day, look for some sort of offering through that day on Monday. I said the entry on Tuesday could be perfect because it could be right off the midpoint in the previous low, and that could get you lower. And you can see how the progression has occurred. And so far, we've pulled back. We haven't yet found support just yet, but I would say that value was always an idea here. If this thing failed to hold up here, the idea was likely that we come back to value, and then from here we find support and look to push this thing up. So at some point down here, don't know where, you're going to look for rejection. If you find it, that could be a great opportunity to bring it back toward recent highs and perhaps higher. All right, on an intraday basis now, you can see here how significant that sell-off has been. Big time drop. Now we're back into support here. I would say that this support zone is very, very important. You have 47.10 right here, and you can see how clearly it's defining itself. Down here, you're starting to see a little edge. Anytime you have this clear of a pivot here, you have to watch it closely, because if price goes bid through it, that retest at it could be a great buying opportunity for a move back across the range into 48s. So continue to watch this 47.10. It's a big time level. All right, let's take a look now at gold futures. Here's a look at gold. Here's a daily time frame. One thing about gold futures, we've had clear levels, 1362.5 and 1334.30, where bulls and bears were positioned. The primary level of defense was the bears defending 1362.5 after rejecting the push higher by the bulls. The implication was that with that defense, you likely see a move into 1306 to 1310, which is the next area of support, a major LV in the charts. You're starting to see that materialize now. What I mentioned before, this 1306 to 1310 can be very, very important. Any test into that zone should still be considered a buying opportunity for an attempt to push prices back into 1360 to 1370. So this could be a 50 to 60 handle rally off of 1306 to 1310. Now, if this level fails to hold, and say it comes down here and does this, and boom, all of a sudden you're looking like it's going weak, then you got major targets to the downside at 1252 and 1208. All right, lastly, let's take a look at the NQ here. Here's the NQ. This is a daily time frame right now. Very, very bullish advance we've seen. A nice pullback. You can see here a very clear trading range that is developed from 48.40 down to about 47.70. Basically, that's been a very clear range over the last month of trading. We're now into that support area where it's been defended. Up here, we had a failure to push beyond the prior high, so that was failed range expansion. Here's 48.20. Remember 48.20, I mentioned if we can push through there, there could be a lot of strength because there could be some buy stops. Well, they failed. They failed to hold it above 48.20. And what I mentioned before was a failure to hold 48.20 opens up a move back toward 47.90 and 47.84. We got that move, and now we're sitting back towards support. So again, we could poke our head back down below this area of support, but if we do, I think this could be an area to watch for some sort of rejection back toward 48.40. On an intraday basis here, again, if you squeeze this thing back out a little bit, you can see how defined this trading range was right here. Anytime you attempt to push out of a range and fail, the expectation is that you walk back down the prices in that range all the way back towards support, and that's what this move was about. So we knew that if this thing could hold, this thing could explode, but failure to hold it opens up a move back across the range. That's where we currently are. Here's 47.90. You'd have to push through that level in order to start climbing back above, but we could see a little bit of defense down here first. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this thing plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck and trade well.